The year was 2479. The stars above Vetrax Prime burned quietly, as if they too were holding their breath. Vetrax Prime was the heart of the galaxy. It was the home of the Galactic Council, a floating station the size of a small planet. It was built to bring peace between 12 powerful alien species. For over 200 years, it had worked. There had been no full-scale wars, no major uprisings. The Council claimed credit for all of it, but something had changed. The humans had left. 100 years ago, humanity had joined the Council. They brought their ships, their technology, and their ideas. Humans had become one of the strongest members of the Council. Some had even called them the glue holding the fragile peace together. But now the glue was gone. No one had seen a human ship in over 2 years. No human ambassadors had spoken in the Council chambers. Earth had gone dark, and no one knew why. In the great halls of Vetrax Prime, leaders of the 12 species whispered. Fear hung in the air like smoke. Some believed humans were building weapons in secret. Others believed humans had found something that made them stronger than all of them combined. No one had proof, but that didn't stop the fear from growing. Chancellor Draxel of Zarnok stood at the center of it all. He was the most powerful voice in the Council. His species, the Zarnok, were cold-blooded and sharp-minded. They ruled with logic, but their logic was built on control. Draxel had always feared humans. He never trusted them. And now, with humanity silent, his fear had turned into something worse, paranoia. Far from the great halls, in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, a man named Captain William Carter sat in the cockpit of an old cargo freighter. His ship, the Gray Falcon, was worn and slow, but it was home. Once, William had walked the polished floors of Vetrax Prime as Earth's top ambassador. Now, he lived alone, hauling supplies between forgotten mining outposts. He didn't miss politics. He didn't miss the Council. But sometimes, late at night, he missed the feeling of being part of something bigger. He had walked away when the Council had started hiding things. He had seen too much, heard too many lies. So he left, just like Earth did. William was resting in his chair when the message came through. It was from an old contact, Rel Varen, a former communications officer from Vetrax Prime. They hadn't spoken in years. The message was short. They're planning something. Draxel wants to strike Earth first. You need to come back. We need to talk. William leaned back in his chair. His heart felt heavy in his chest. So it had finally come to this. The Council, too afraid to wait, was preparing for war. He knew what this meant. If Draxel convinced the Council to attack Earth, it would tear the galaxy apart. There would be no peace left to save. William knew he couldn't ignore this. Not now. He set a course for Vetrax Prime. As the stars stretched before him, he whispered to himself, "What have you done, Draxel?" The journey to Vetrax Prime took 6 days. Captain William Carter sat alone in his ship, thinking about what waited for him. He hadn't been back to the Council in years. Part of him wondered if anyone would even recognize him. Another part knew it didn't matter. He wasn't going back to be seen. He was going back to stop something terrible. When the Gray Falcon entered Vetrax space, the automated station guard scanned his ship. The voice of the docking officer sounded cold and distant over the comms. "State your name and purpose," the officer demanded. William leaned toward the microphone. "Captain William Carter, civilian ship, here on personal business." There was silence for a moment. William knew they recognized his name. Finally, the voice returned. "Proceed to Dock 17. Do not leave your ship until security clears you." William smirked. The Council was nervous. Good. Maybe they should be. As he landed, he looked out the window. Vetrax Prime looked the same. Tall silver towers, bright lights, crowds of diplomats, soldiers, and workers moving through the station like ants in a nest. But William knew better. Behind all that noise, something dark was moving. He stepped off his ship after the guards cleared him. None of them spoke to him. They just watched as he walked by. William made his way through the long halls, remembering the days when people greeted him with respect. Now, all he saw were strangers who avoided his eyes. He walked to a quiet cafe near the outer ring of the station. It used to be a favorite spot for Council workers. William found a seat in the back, facing the door. He didn't have to wait long. Rel Varen entered quickly, looking over his shoulder as if someone might be following him. He slid into the seat across from William. Rel had aged. His hair had gone gray, and his eyes looked tired. But William knew that sharp mind was still there. "You shouldn't have come," Rel whispered. William leaned forward. "You called me." Rel nodded, glancing around the cafe. He lowered his voice. "Draxel's getting ready to move. He's scared. The council is scared. They think humans are hiding something. He's pushing for a preemptive strike on Earth." William felt his jaw tighten. "Why now?" Rel shook his head. "No one knows. Some say humans are building a weapon. Others say you've created a new fleet. Draxel is feeding the fear. He's telling the council that silence is a threat. They believe him." William leaned back, thinking, "Do you believe him?" Rel hesitated. "I don't know what to believe anymore. But if Draxel convinces the others, they'll attack. You know how fast the council moves when they're scared." William rubbed his face, feeling the weight of the moment. "I need to speak to Draxel." Rel's eyes widened. "You won't get close. You're not an ambassador anymore." William's voice hardened. "Then I'll find another way." Rel leaned closer. "Be careful. The halls aren't safe. People are watching. If they know you're here to stop Draxel, they'll come after you." William stood up and placed a hand on Rel's shoulder. "Thank you, old friend." As he walked out of the cafe, William felt the walls closing in. The bright lights of Vetrax Prime didn't fool him. The station was drowning in fear. He could see it in every face, hear it in every whisper. He knew Rel was right. The halls were filled with shadows. Someone was watching. Someone didn't want him here. But William didn't care. He had come too far to turn back now. He pulled his coat tight and disappeared into the crowd, ready to find a way to Draxel. Captain William Carter moved carefully through the crowded halls of Vetrax Prime. The people around him didn't know why he was there. Most didn't even recognize him. But he knew someone was watching. He could feel the eyes on his back. He needed to get to Chancellor Draxel, and he knew exactly where to start. There was a private corridor on the upper level of the council building. Few people dared to go there. It was heavily guarded, reserved for the top leaders. William knew the halls well. He had walked them before, back when he still carried the title of ambassador. He took the maintenance elevators, keeping his head down. He avoided the main security checkpoints, slipping through side passages only old staff would remember. When he reached the upper corridor, 2 Zarnok guards stood by the entrance. Their black armor and sharp helmets made them look more like machines than living beings. William didn't slow down. One of the guards stepped forward. "Stop. This area is restricted." William stood tall. "Tell Chancellor Draxel that Captain William Carter demands an audience." The guards didn't move at first. Then one touched the side of his helmet, speaking to someone through a private channel. Moments later, he lowered his hand and nodded. "Follow me." The guard led William through the winding corridors. The walls were tall and silver, glowing faintly. The air felt heavy here, like the station itself was holding its breath. They stopped outside a large metal door. The guard stepped aside. "Go in. Alone." William stepped through the door. It slid shut behind him with a hiss. Inside, Chancellor Draxel stood by a wide window, looking out at the stars. His long, dark robes hung from his thin frame. His skin, pale and rough like stone, caught the dim light. His back was to William, but his voice carried through the room. "I wondered how long it would take for you to crawl back here, Captain Carter." William stood firm. "You're planning to strike Earth. I'm here to stop you." Draxel turned slowly, his dark eyes locking onto William. There was no warmth in his face, only cold calculation. "Stop me? You left this council. You left your people. Why come back now?" William took a step forward. "Because I know you. You fear what you don't understand. You fear what you can't control." Draxel smiled slightly, though there was no humor in it. "You're right. I do fear what I don't understand. And tell me, Captain, what is more dangerous? A species that makes threats, or one that goes completely silent?" William narrowed his eyes. "You don't even know why we left." Draxel's smile faded. He walked toward William, hands behind his back. "I don't need to know. I only need to act before it's too late. Do you know what silence means in diplomacy, Captain? It means plans are being made in secret. It means a blade is being sharpened in the dark." He stopped a few steps away from William. "We cannot wait. If humanity is building something, if they are preparing to strike first, we will not sit back and watch. We will act. We must act. William's voice was low but steady. And if you're wrong, if this is all in your head, Draxel leaned closer. Then I will sleep while knowing I protected the council first. William knew, then, that words would not stop Draxel. The Chancellor had already made his choice. The council would move forward with the attack unless someone stopped them. He had come here hoping for answers. Instead, he had found only fear. William turned toward the door. He had heard enough. As he left the room, Draxel called after him. "You can't save them, Captain. You're too late." The door hissed shut behind him. William didn't stop walking. He knew what he had to do now. He needed proof. Proof that Draxel's fear was built on lies. And he knew just where to find it. Captain William Carter moved quickly through the lower decks of Vetrax Prime. The upper levels were too dangerous now. Too many eyes, too many ears. He needed to disappear for a while. He needed to reach someone who could help him find the truth. He knew only one person who could do that, Mira Holt. Mira was once the Council's top security technician. She had designed the systems that protected their files, locked down their secrets, and hid their lies. But like William, she had walked away. She disappeared years ago after exposing a corruption scandal. Many believed she had gone into hiding or died. But William knew where to find her. He made his way to Dock 49, the farthest end of the station. It was the forgotten part of Vetrax Prime, a place full of broken ships and empty storage units. Few people came here. That was why Mira had chosen it. He found her inside an old freighter, surrounded by computer screens and cables. She looked up as he entered. Her hair was shorter now, streaked with silver. Her face was harder, but her eyes still held that sharp, curious light. She crossed her arms. "You're a long way from the council chambers, Captain." William closed the door behind him. "I need your help." Mira leaned back in her chair. "Help doing what?" "Getting into the council's private archives." Mira raised her eyebrows. "You're serious?" William nodded. "Draxel is moving the council to attack Earth. I need proof to stop him. Proof that he's lying or that he's wrong." Mira stood slowly, thinking. "You realize breaking into those files could get us both killed?" "I don't have a choice," William said. Mira studied him for a moment. Then she gave a slow, tired smile. "I should have known you'd drag me into one more mess." She pulled up a map of the station on her screen. "I built the system. I know the weak spots. We'll have to go through the maintenance levels. It's unguarded, but the security locks will be tight." William nodded. "Just tell me what to do." Hours later, they stood in front of a secured data vault deep in the heart of the station. The walls hummed softly. Mira worked quickly, fingers flying over a small hacking device. Sparks flew as she cracked through layers of security. William kept watch, his hand resting on the sidearm at his belt. "Almost there," Mira whispered. A final click echoed in the silence. The vault door slid open. Inside were thousands of digital records, sealed behind firewalls and encryptions. Mira tapped into the system, pulling file after file onto her screen. William leaned over her shoulder. "Look for anything about Earth. About the Council's surveillance. About Draxel's plans." They dug through the files for what felt like hours. Most were useless. Old treaties, cargo logs, meeting notes. But then Mira froze. "Found something," she whispered. She opened a classified file marked Operation SilentNet. William read the details quickly, his face darkening with every word. The file revealed that the Council had used human communication satellites to spy on every species in the Council, including humanity itself. They had copied Earth's technology without permission. They had used it to listen, to watch, to control. Worse, the file showed that Earth had discovered the spying years ago. But instead of starting a war, Earth had silently left the Council to avoid a bigger conflict. They had cut all ties to stop the Council from stealing more. Humans had never planned a war. They had been defending themselves all along. William's hands tightened into fists. Draxel knew. He knew the truth, and he lied to the Council. Mira nodded. "We need to get this out there. Show the Council what he's hiding." William looked at her, his mind racing. "Help me broadcast this. Not just to the Council, to the whole galaxy." Mira hesitated, then nodded. I'll get the systems ready. But once we start, they'll come for us. William looked at the file one more time. Let them come. He knew this was the moment. The council feared humanity's silence. But soon, they would hear the truth loud and clear. Mira worked quickly. Her fingers moved over the controls like she was born to do this. She was connecting their stolen data to the council's master broadcast network. Once they sent the message, every ship, every station, every world connected to the council would hear it. No one would be able to hide the truth anymore. William stood near the door, his pulse steady. He knew what was coming. The moment the truth was out, Draxel would send security forces after them. They would try to shut the signal down. They would try to silence him again. But this time, the whole galaxy would be watching. Mira glanced up from the console. Signal's ready. Once I push this, the broadcast goes live. William nodded. Do it. Mira pressed the button. The lights in the room flickered as the system powered up. A hum filled the air as the signal reached out across the stars. William stepped forward and leaned into the microphone. His voice needed to be clear. It needed to carry. He spoke slowly, choosing every word with care. This is Captain William Carter, former ambassador of Earth. I speak now to the entire Galactic Council and to every species beyond it. He paused, making sure the words sank in. The Council has lied to you. For years, they used Earth's technology to spy on you all, to control you, to control us. They built a network called Operation Silent Net. They used it to watch every world without permission. He glanced at Mira, who nodded, showing that the data was being sent with his voice. Earth found out. We chose peace. We left the Council quietly, hoping to stop the lies without bloodshed. But Chancellor Draxel turned our silence into fear. He is planning to strike Earth. He is leading you into a war built on lies. William leaned closer to the microphone, his voice firm. Now you know the truth. You have a choice. Stop this war before it begins, or follow Draxel into darkness. Mira ended the message. The system confirmed the data, and voice had reached every council channel. There was no way to stop it now. Sirens began to blare outside the room. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallways. Mira stood up fast. Security's coming. William checked his weapon. We won't want to fight here. We need to get to the lower levels. I have a way out. Mira grabbed a data stick, holding the files as backup. Let's move. They slipped out the back entrance. Guards were already searching the area. William and Mira moved through dark maintenance tunnels, staying low and quiet. The station shook slightly. William knew what it meant. The Council was sending ships to prepare for the attack on Earth. But now those ships had heard his message. Now, the soldiers aboard those ships knew the truth. As they moved deeper into the tunnels, Mira turned to William. Do you think they'll believe you? William didn't answer right away. He knew fear was a powerful weapon. But truth had its own strength. He finally spoke, his voice steady. I think they have to. They reached the lower levels, finding an old service shuttle waiting for them. William powered it up. As the engine started, he looked back toward the heart of the station. Somewhere up there, Draxel was watching his empire start to crack. William wasn't done yet. He was going to see this through. The small shuttle broke away from Vetrax Prime, slipping into the dark space beyond the station's defense zone. William kept the controls steady, glancing back toward the giant silver structure shrinking in the distance. Mira sat beside him, staring at the console, waiting for signs of pursuit. But none came. Not yet. William knew it wasn't over. His message had gone out. It had reached every council member, every captain, every soldier. But would they believe it? Would they question Draxel? Or would they fall in line, too afraid to resist? Mira leaned forward, pointing at the scanner. Look, dozens of council ships were moving. Warships, transporters, supply freighters. The attack fleet was already in motion. They were leaving Vetrax Prime, headed toward Earth. William tightened his grip on the controls. We're too late. Mira shook her head. Look again. William frowned and checked the scanner. The ships were moving, but they weren't flying in formation. Some ships had stopped. Others had turned off their weapon systems. The fleet was splitting apart. He switched on the long-range communication channels. Voices from the fleet filled the cabin. Confirming broadcast is real. Waiting for council orders? What is the truth? Standing by, refusing to engage Earth without more proof. William's heart pounded. His message had worked. The fleet was divided. Not everyone was following Draxel's orders. Mira pulled up a secure channel linked to the council chambers. William listened closely as the council members argued. The once unified leaders were shouting over one another. "This is madness. Draxel, explain yourself. You kept this from us. We demand the full records. Earth left because of you, Draxel. You've lied to all of us." William sat back in his seat. The truth was spreading. The council was breaking apart. Then came the voice he had expected. Chancellor Draxel. His voice was cold, but there was a crack in his control now. A weakness. Do not listen to him. Humanity is dangerous. Their silence is a weapon. We must act before it's too late. But fewer voices answered him now. One by one, council members called for a halt to the attack. Captains of warships refused to follow orders. Some ships powered down completely. Others turned back toward Vetrax Prime. Draxel's power was slipping away. Mira leaned back, her face pale. "It's working," they're standing down. William nodded slowly. "It's not over yet." Hours passed. William and Mira listened as the council chamber fell deeper into chaos. The truth could no longer be hidden. The files had been verified. The lies exposed. Draxel was surrounded by council members demanding his resignation. By the next day, the council announced Draxel's removal. A new vote would be held to choose a leader who could rebuild trust. William knew Draxel's grip on the galaxy had ended. The attack on Earth had been called off. No ships would fire. No war would begin. Mira turned to William. "You did it." William shook his head. "We did it." He knew this didn't fix everything. The council was still broken. Trust would take years to rebuild. But tonight, the galaxy had stepped back from the edge. William sent one final message to Earth. "Stand down. The council is no longer coming. The truth has stopped them." William and Mira returned to the Gray Falcon the next day. As they prepared to leave Vetrax space, Mira turned to him. "What now? The council might try to pull you back in." William looked out the window at the distant stars. "Let them. I'm done with politics." Mira smiled softly. "You could have been a great leader." William shrugged. "I'd rather be free." The engines rumbled as the ship turned toward Earth. William took one last look at the distant lights of Vetrax Prime. The war that almost started had been stopped. Not by weapons, not by fear, but by the truth. He set a course for home. The Gray Falcon entered Earth's orbit quietly. There were no warships, no alarms, no warnings. The planet below looked peaceful, covered in blue oceans and green continents. William Carter sat in the pilot's seat, staring down at the home he had left so long ago. Mira stood beside him, arms crossed, looking at the planet. "So this is it?" she asked softly. William nodded. This is it. They had done what many thought was impossible. They had stopped a war before it began. The council was still in chaos, still trying to rebuild after the lies were exposed. But the danger had passed for now. The ship landed at a small port on the edge of what was once Earth's capital city. The city was different now. There were fewer people, less noise. Humanity had pulled back from the galaxy, choosing to rebuild on its own terms. There were no more ambassadors, no more council meetings, only home. William stepped off the ship and took a deep breath of Earth's fresh air. It felt heavier than the thin air of space stations. Real, honest. He looked around. The landing port was quiet. A few workers watched him with cautious eyes. They knew who he was. His name had spread across the networks after the broadcast. People had called him a hero, but William didn't feel like one. He had only done what had to be done. Mira walked beside him, holding the data stick with the council's crimes still stored on it. "What will you do with it?" she asked. William looked at the small device in her hand. "Nothing," he said after a moment. "The galaxy already knows the truth. That's enough." Mira smiled softly. "You're really done with all this, aren't you?" William nodded. "I've seen enough of the council to last me a lifetime." They walked through the city, passing people who stopped to stare. Some nodded in respect. Others whispered his name. William ignored it all. He wasn't here for praise. He was here to live. At the edge of the city, They reached a small hill that overlooked the ocean. William sat down on grass, watching the waves move slowly under the setting sun. Mira sat beside him in silence. After a while, she spoke again. Do you think they'll come back? The council? William thought for a moment before answering. Maybe, but next time, they'll know we're not afraid to stand alone. Mira nodded. And if fear takes over again? William smiled slightly, looking out at the endless horizon. Then someone else will stand up. Someone always does. The wind carried their words away. The stars above began to appear one by one. William leaned back on the grass, feeling something he hadn't felt in years: peace. The council might rebuild. New threats might rise. But for now, the war had been stopped, and Earth was safe. He closed his eyes, letting the silence wash over him.